I knew something was wrong the moment I stepped through the door and heard applause. Not the polite, scattered kind, no. It was the full-throated roar of people celebrating something that had nothing to do with me. The family dinner my mother insisted I attend, just this, nothing big. Sweetheart had somehow become 81 people, packed shoulder to shoulder in my childhood home. A sagging balloon arch hung over the chipped doorway. Paper confetti clung to the floorboards, and stretched across half the living room wall was a banner wide enough to be a billboard. Welcome, baby Selena. My sister was glowing. My parents were beaming. My bonus, a year's worth of overtime, promotions, and the last scraps of my patience had been spent on a child who wasn't mine, and a celebration I hadn't been invited to plan. Mom cupped my face, laughing like nothing was wrong. We used your bonus for family joy, she said, as if I should feel honored. I smiled. A small one, the kind you make when you're memorizing the moment for later. We weren't always like this. There was a time I trusted them, stupidly, blindly. I believed in the softness of Sunday breakfasts, in my father's quiet reverence for family unity, in my mother's constant reminders that we take care of our own. I worked, they depended, and I didn't mind. Back then, I called it love. It took years to realize how carefully they'd shaped me into a resource instead of a child. Every compliment was tied to another ask. Every "we're so proud" was followed by "could you send a little more?" I mistook their need for affection. I mistook their demands for closeness. 2 months before the dinner, the illusion began to crack. A missing deposit, a transaction I didn't remember approving, a signature that looked almost like mine. I shrugged it off once, twice, then came the third, the fourth. By the sixth, I ran out of excuses. People reveal themselves slowly, like rust spreading beneath paint, but once you see the pattern, the whole structure collapses. I didn't confront them. I didn't cry or accuse. I watched. I listened to whispered conversations they thought I was asleep through. One night, I heard my mother murmur into the phone, "Yes, the money cleared. Don't worry, she won't check." She never realized I was standing in the doorway. Something inside me cooled. Not anger, not heartbreak, something cleaner, sharper. Purpose. I spent nights gathering documents, checking registry logs, contacting legal departments, resetting passwords they didn't know I knew. I traced every transfer, every accidental withdrawal, every forged authorization, every betrayal, documented, dated, prepared. I didn't need to confront them emotionally. I only needed to confront the system they'd weaponized against me. So when I stood under the banner celebrating a baby I'd never met, surrounded by relatives cheering with my money, I didn't feel anger. I felt clarity. I kissed my sister's cheek, hugged my parents, and let them believe everything was fine, because revenge tastes better when served to people who think they're safe. At 2:14 a.m., I sat at my laptop in the guest room they still claimed was mine. It wasn't. Nothing in that house belonged to me anymore. So I reclaimed what did. I froze every joint account under my name, filed fraud reports with timestamps and evidence so thorough the bank representative apologized to me. I reversed 15 transfers, each one clicking back into my accounts like puzzle pieces. Returning home, then came the property deed. 6 years earlier, they'd transferred it into their names for tax purposes. Except the signature was forged and the original title still, deliciously and legally, belonged to me. By morning, the records were corrected. The house they used, the money they spent, the lies they lived, all returned to their rightful owner, me. At sunrise, I walked into the kitchen. Mom was humming. Dad stirred his coffee, both blissfully unaware. I placed the corrected deed on the table. Confusion, then dawning horror, then the realization that the kingdom they'd built was supported by documents I now controlled. "You used my bonus for family joy," I said softly. "Now I'm returning the favor." They begged, they pleaded, they tried to explain the inexplicable. I didn't yell. I didn't insult them. I simply turned, walked to the front door, and locked it from the outside as I left. A symbolic gesture, but symbols matter. Party's over. People think revenge is rage, but for me, it was quiet. A steady exhale after years of holding my breath. A correction, not cruelty. They taught me what family meant. I simply returned the lesson, written in the same ink they used on me. Now, when I think of that banner, I smile, because the next one they hang will finally read something true.